You ever got that paper or assignment due? The clock is ticking, you're busy typing away, and all the words just seem to fall into place? You're feeling super confident with what you're about to turn in. But once the grades come round, it's not quite what you expect. Well, that's the story of Stephen. Meet Stephen. He's a first-year international student in his writing class. He has been hard at work writing his paper. But things don't always go to plan.
Oh no, a D minus. I worked so hard. How did this happen?
So, how did this happen? Let's take a closer look at what Stephen wrote.
The person that I would like to have lunch with is Brad Pitt, my favorite American actor. She has appeared in many movies, but the one I love the most is Fight Club. This movie had a lot of good and meaningful scenes too. That is why I like her.
Now let's see what the professor has to say.
I don't really understand what this student is trying to say. The grammar is all over the place. Why did this student not use the proper article? There's a pronoun mistake and unclear tenses. It's a confusing sentence. Surely it's not that hard to proofread and see the mistakes? This is just so frustrating. Why won't they just write grammatically?
Let's take a pause here. Okay, pop quiz. As of 2016, how many people speak English as a second language? Is it A, over 1 million, B, over 500 million, or C, over 1 billion? The answer is C, over 1 billion. Approximately 1.5 billion people speak English worldwide, and 1 billion of those people use it as their second language. So it might seem easy and simple for a native English speaker like the professor to spot all the mistakes. However, things are a bit different when your mother tongue is in a different language. Let's take a look. Over 400 million people in the world speak Arabic. In Arabic, dual form is created with a suffix, which means to. No quantifier is used before the noun and the meaning is held in the suffix. So, for example, if the desired sentence is, there are 2 books at the library for you, it might be written instead as, there are books at the library for you, or there are 2 books at the library for you. A student can easily forget to add an S or ES at the end of a noun in English to signify more than one, or omit a quantifier word in a noun phrase to show a number of items. Likewise, a student may apply the suffix S to every noun, but there are non-count nouns, exceptions, spelling changes, and irregular forms to remember. Additionally, the Arabic language is read from right to left, instead of left to right as in English, and there is no distinction between upper and lowercase letters. Meanwhile, in Korean and Japanese, adjective clauses are positioned before the noun, and relative pronouns are not used. So, for example, instead of saying, we can meet at the park, which is close to my house, it might be phrased as, meet at the park is close to my house, or meet at the park close to my house. Since relative pronouns are not used in Korean, it's often overlooked in English. This is difficult when the relative pronouns is the subject of the adjective clause and cannot be omitted. For example, the target sentence may be, this experiment has the type of research that is interesting to me. But it might be phrased as, this experiment has a type of research is interesting to me. As for Mandarin, the language does not have articles, or verb tenses, while English does. Different languages around the world have varying structures and rules. Students produce English influenced by their first, second, or third languages. So if a student has spent years developing skills in a language other than English, they may still transfer traits from that language over into English, despite ongoing corrections and English language studies. It's important to keep an open mind. Everyone has varying English proficiency skills. Their English might work fine as a lingua franca in an international context, but oftentimes the professor's response is to correct all errors. This correction may overwhelm and even cause embarrassment. Navigating the vast diversity of languages and linguistic backgrounds of students can be difficult, so here are a couple of things to keep in mind. 1. Correction is not necessarily instruction. Just circling all the errors may not be entirely helpful to a student. If there's a consistent pattern of grammatical concern, teach that to the student and provide ample opportunities for the student to practice this correction. 2. Don't sweat the small stuff. Does a count or non-count noun impact meaning? Does the lack of an article confuse what's being said? If not, is it worth taking off all those points? Sometimes the main point of a paper can be delivered without grammatical accuracy, and that's okay. 3. Ensure that the criticism matches the mistake. Framing critiques in the most positive way possible encourages students. It's important to propose helpful solutions and teach students how to address the problem. This is a good way to utilize helpful online resources like OWL Purdue. By doing so, students are able to look up any grammatical concerns or questions they may have. And remember, when in doubt, ask for clarification. Asking is a great way to engage the students and to start conversations about their English skills. It will help shrink the gap between educator and learner. 4. Grading what you have taught helps students focus on the class material. If your class is not on grammar, should you be assessing for it? 5. Consider what is working. Fluency or clarity? Perhaps the knowledge shared or created. Help students see what is successful, not just what is wrong. Writers benefit from knowing what they did well, so they can use these moves again. Learning a new language, attending university in a different country is challenging and scary enough on its own, so it's vital that we encourage them. And who knows, maybe they just might surprise you.